Hi, folks. So this practice that I'm recording right now is specifically for modulating our empathy. And so working mostly with folks who find themselves in nonprofit environments or values-based businesses, or working towards social changes or social causes. Find that often empathy is a huge part of our makeup. It's how we kind of show up to the world with this default of a very empathetic stance. And so what can be really helpful for a lot of us folks that find ourselves in that world is really modulating our empathy in order to differentiate ourselves from the work that we're doing. So this practice is specifically for that. And I have to credit David Trelevin, who does trauma-informed mindfulness practices, and Babette Rothschild, who specifically developed a practice like this for people working in front lines and people working directly with trauma. And just a quick note about this piece of differentiation. Oftentimes, because we're built to be in community and in relationship, and some of us have this default of moving towards empathy, we often find ourselves at times maybe getting enmeshed into the work that we're doing or with the clients that we're serving. It's kind of a very normal response, and that's really common in vicarious trauma, or what we often call compassion fatigue. And actually, compassion fatigue may be better described as empathy fatigue. And so modulating this empathy is a way to support us in being effective over the course of time with the empathy that we need to bring to the work that we're doing. And oftentimes the reality is that even if we dial back our empathy a little bit, turn the volume down a little bit, we can actually be still incredibly effective. Yeah, so this practice is specifically for that. And it's something that you could do at any moment. And again, sometimes covertly, I offer some practices that can be done, at home, at night, or away from the work environment, but also could be taken in regularly throughout our workday. And sometimes those work days are quite busy. We're interacting with clients regularly. And so it can be really helpful to have a practice that you can use covertly, that you might be able to use in a meeting through a course of 15 seconds even, just to check in with yourself in order to regulate throughout the day. This is one such practice. So for this time, as you're following along with this video, find yourself in a very comfortable place. So this could be sitting down, this could be lying down, this could be standing, whatever is most comfortable for you right now so that you can really relax. And breathe in and out into this sense of safety in the place that you're in right now. Just really feel safe and held, maybe held by the chair or the surface that you're on. And as you're relaxing into this sense of safety, just tap into how empathetic you feel in this moment. So the best image for this, and you can do this with your eyes open and your eyes closed, it's your choice, but if it helps you imagine, I invite you to close your eyes and imagine a boombox, if this is relative to the era that you found yourself in, if that's a good reference point. I'm thinking of a boombox with the old school, I guess for my life, the dial to turn volume up and down. So imagine that type of a volume dial. And the lowest point of the volume dial is a number 1, and the highest point is a number 10. And just imagine that physical dial that can be turned up or down. And as you're imagining that and using your hand to kind of tune into that dial, just put the dial at whatever number you would say your empathy is out of 10. So perhaps it's a 7 out of 10, perhaps it's a 1 out of 10, perhaps it's a 5. Just find the place on the dial where your empathy is right now. And because this practice is for regulating high empathy, my invitation to you is that you just turn the volume down slightly on your empathy. So if you're at a 5, turn it down to a 4. Just turn your empathy dial down 1 notch. And as you play with that concept and the feeling of it, I just invite you to consider how you do that. Just notice if there are things you're telling yourself, if there are emotions that are coming up as you turn the volume dial down just 1 notch, or if there are senses in your body. If so, just notice where that is. What's going on maybe in your torso, in your arms, in your limbs. Is there a change in temperature, pressure, or any sensation throughout your body? Just notice how that connects to this idea of turning the empathy dial down. And if you're making any connections here between turning the volume down on empathy and felt sensations, emotions, or thoughts, just take an imprint of those things. They might be cues as to what helps you to regulate your empathy and turn the volume down a bit. And as you take that imprint, just consider what it might be like if you wanted to turn the volume back up, and the fact that you can do that. And now you can actually turn the volume back up to 5 or up to 6 if you wanted to. Kind of have the ability to turn the volume up or down here. And just tap into what that's like right now as you play around with this concept or the feeling of it in your body. And all the while noticing how you might do that, turning the volume up, turning it down. And so intentionally, at this time, I invite you to intentionally turn the volume level to a place that you think would be most of service to you and to the people around you right now. But more importantly to you, what would serve you best? And so just notice if that's maybe turning the empathy dial down a little bit. And after you do that, I invite you to take a few more breaths and just come back to the space around you. Bring your attention back to this space and this time. And just notice as you play around with turning the empathy dial down, likely, just notice that people may still feel your empathy, even when you think you've turned it down. And my invitation is just for you to play with that a little bit and play with this practice. Again, it could be shortened, it could be lengthened. Yeah, thanks so much.